Hello and welcome to PJ's Media Reviews. I am, of course, joined by Sean once again over here, and we are going to
Bro,
be
I'm
talking
Batman. Can't you see that I'm
Batman.
Batman?
hmm
God damn it.
You know who could play a good Batman? Carl Urban.
Yeah. Anyone at this point. It's free. We can have 15 Batmans. It's fine.
So we're going to be talking about The Boys, Amazon Prime's highly rated, highly loved and appreciated superhero show.
The
Definitely,
refreshing
definitely
show.
not for the refreshing. Definitely not for the kids. Uh, and just to make clear that this will contain coarse language and this is not for to be played at work or around your parents or anything, because we will be talking about things like fatal cunnilingus and matters of such. So anyway,
Well, that's the show. You can't really avoid it, can you?
I want to ask you, Sean, how did you find out about The Boys?
Carl Urban, basically.
Oh, really?
He's a fellow Kiwi. Um, which means I follow him. He's also a fellow Trekkie, and he's been in Lord of the Rings. So I like what he's basically what I aspire to be, right? And so no, I follow Carl Urban pretty closely, and I was like, he's going to be in a superhero show. But originally, I was like, they're doing another superhero show, and then I thought I might watch it if there's Carl Urban in it. And then when I saw like the first trailer, I was like, this is not going to be just a superhero show. It's something different. And so I was immediately hooked. The just I loved it. It's just so out there that I fell in love with the show.
Yeah, I was a bit late to the game. I wasn't all that interested in watching it at first based on the trailers, because oftentimes trailers look really good and I watch these superhero shows and I get a little bit bored. I tried to watch Doom Patrol, Umbrella Academy, Titans, couldn't get into those. And then first episode of The Boys, I was absolutely hooked. Like, it just, the way it examines the superhero genre and kind of flips it on its head and says, what if superheroes, I know the show's not completely realistic, but what if superheroes were real people, corporations would run them, absolute power would corrupt absolutely, and that's surely evident in the character of Homelander. And by the way, this will contain spoilers, so
I feel this is the evolution of Hancock. But like if it were R-rated, you know what I mean? I there's two halves to the movie Hancock. The first half I love, the second half I don't. Like everything that involves his relationship and how they were meant to be together. I don't know what. That pisses me off. But the first part I think is hilarious, and how like you've got this basically Superman trying to deal with this reality, like the real world that we live in, and this show does that. And it's also got some. It's not delicate social commentary like Star Trek can and has handled in the past, but there is social commentary in it nonetheless. It's just very explicit social commentary, right?
yeah, and it makes no apologies about how direct it is about certain things. Like
Yeah, exactly.
in the very first
Abuse,
episode,
sexual abuse, right?
sexual harassment and abuse of power. This show is actually based on a comic book by Garth Evans and Derek Robertson, and it was developed by Eric Kripke. I think I'm pronouncing that name right. Who I only just became familiar with recently because I watched the Comic Con at Home boys presentation where they talk about season 2.
Okay.
And they talk about getting super political in the second season and even going harder at some of these issues than they did in the first season. And I honestly don't know that much about season 2. I watched the new trailer, which gives away a good bit of what the season's going to be about. And it's about this new character, Stormfront, who is kind of like, I think, going to be a foe to Homelander.
I haven't watched any of the new stuff.
Yeah, okay, well, avoid it then if
Well,
you want to.
you can talk about it if you want. I just didn't want to watch
Well,
any
yeah,
of the trailers.
I don't want to get into too much about season 2, but basically season 1 starts off with this guy, Huey, and his girlfriend at a comic book shop. Was it a comic book shop? I guess I can't remember. They're in some kind of store. Anyway,
Yeah.
and she gets run through by a character called
A-Train.
A-Train, and explodes her, like kills her. And Jack Quaid's character Huey eventually teams up with this guy Billy Butcher to to basically just expose and destroy these group of superheroes called the Seven, which are controlled by an organization called VOT International. And that's led by a character named, what's her name? It was played by Elizabeth Shue.
Oh, wait a minute. She's called... Is it
Madeline.
Yeah, Madeline Stillwell.
And she's quite good in this show. She kind of has to keep Homelander in check. And basically everything running properly. And she knows how psychotic and dangerous Homelander is.
Well, they all are.
Well, they all are. And that's because they were, they were given a drug at childhood called Compound V, which, and all these superheroes were told a lie that they were born this way when actually they were created for profit. And that's something that no superhero show or movie has really ever gotten into, like the question of how would corporations deal with
this?
Yeah, if they had the power to create them.
I think the closest we kind of got to this was maybe the MCU doing the Sokovia Accords, and I like how world organizations and world powers would kind of deal with having superheroes that kind of exist outside of the like jurisdiction of just countries or states. But what you're talking about is because I got everyone at work to watch this damn show, and then we were all talking about it. But that was the thing that really stuck with me. It was how like corporations, not only this company, they basically breed superheroes, but then it's just amazing how you hear these phone calls during the show where they've got these deals with these cities, like, oh, we can rent you this superhero for however many million a month, and he can take care of your city. And it's like, oh, we can rent you this superhero, and she costs this much, per year, whatever it is. And then it's like you have to do this mission with this superhero because we need more engagement on the superhero's social media, like Twitter accounts and that kind of stuff. So we need to do publicity stunts and that kind of. It's just insane. But then, like, you kind of like that's probably how it would work, maybe.
Yeah. And the fact that these guys, they're so comfortable in this high life where they're rich, they're famous, they're role models, but like as Huey figures out, they're pieces of shit, really. Like A-Train, he sees that video of A-Train talking about his girlfriend that he accidentally killed, and he's laughing about it, and it just shows just a complete lack of empathy. And it's kind of I think it's kind of a metaphor for corporate mentality about how they don't really care about the people below them, and everybody's just a consumer, and they're not real people. But in this show, the other character that the superhero character that they focus on is Starlight.
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 I'll find it.
Starlight, Starbright, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Starlight. She's great.
What?
I think she's the only good character in the show.
She has a moral center, yeah. And she's constantly struggling with that. And that's why she relates to Huey so much. And they eventually, I guess, fall in love.
Yeah, Huey isn't per se a good, is he? He's not a bad guy. It's just like he ends up mingled with this wrong crowd. He ends up with the boys.
He ends up saying like a couple of days with them. He's like, I've been with you so many days now. I've killed 6 people, or 6 people have died, or something. Like he does actually kill Invisible Man, Translucent Man.
Translucent, yeah. So the boys is the name of the show, but it's the name of the team that Carl Urban's character assembles to kind of
Yeah.
take down these soups because he's got a deep hatred for superheroes and he wants to take them down. And so we've got like the most eclectic team assembled to try and take down these superheroes, and they seem inadequate in every way to do so.
Well,
It's very dark comedy as well.
Yeah, the show is strange because we often complain about shows being too dark and cynical, but if you can do it right, then it's actually very entertaining.
Well, this is the thing. You mentioned Doom Patrol, Titans, and Umbrella Academy. I haven't seen any of those, all right? So I can't comment on how the shows actually are, but just based on the trailers, they all seem super cringy. They've all got so much cringe just in the trailers that I couldn't even bear to watch them. It's because they try to be dark and gritty and this show is
Fuck
dark
Batman.
and gritty. Fuck Batman. I mean, come on. It's too forced, right? It's like, ooh, look at me, I'm dark and gritty. Whereas this show, it's just like that's kind of how it naturally is. And you're not focusing on the dark and gritty stuff. You're actually trying to find the light in it. You're trying to find the good in Starlight. You're trying to find some sort of I don't know, some sort of positive ending for Huey's character, if there can ever be.
And it takes the most despicable characters, and it explains them in a way, or explains them in such detail, or gives them enough development to where pieces of shit like the Deep and A-Train and Homelander, there are moments where you're like feeling sorry for these guys.
Not the
even
Deep.
after everything they've done, you're like, man, these guys are just fucked up. They're just, it's kind of not their fault they were made this way.
I felt like that for Translucent. All right, they all have their faults.
Oh, yeah.
Translucent is a dude that creeps on people in the bathroom because he can be invisible. So he's got that. He's a creep. All right, he's watching you pee, that kind of stuff. He's not hurting you. It's just weird, right?
Yeah,
you're taking a shit. He's watching. It's strange, but
yeah, it is.
But I felt bad when they killed him because they kind of mentioned that, oh, well, he was a single dad and was taking care of his kid. And like other than the fact that he was creeping, he didn't do, like, he wasn't necessarily a bad person, right? So I kind of felt bad for Trans. I was like, they might have killed the one that was the least terrible.
And that's where Huey has that internal conflict when he finds out, oh my God, he realizes that this guy that they're torturing and probably going to kill is a person who has a family, and he probably, his son's going to miss him when he's gone. Like,
oh yeah,
they always examine the other side of everything, right? I like what's her name? God, I'm not good with actors' names, so I'm not familiar with it. Erin Moriarty, who plays Annie or Starlight. The thing I like about her is that she's, like, physically she's very petite and pretty and all that, but she's so innocent on the inside. But when she gets faced with that, like when the Deep exposes,
naive almost.
Yeah, she has that naive kind of way about her, but she's very tough and will never back down and doesn't take shit. She's actually probably the strongest willed out of the seven, which is pretty obvious anyway. I mean, she has that moral center, but
it's the costume thing that gives it away, I think, the most. Like, she refuses to wear she really fights the costume that they try to put her in.
And that moment when the guy's like, show us your tits, in front of, like, the kid that she was just talking to, and she's like, you know what, keep that old costume. I like that part.
Yeah.
There's also another character called Kimiko.
Yeah.
Now, to be clear, she's like the most she's like Weapon X, basically, of this superhero universe. Is that a correct assessment?
I don't fully understand how powerful she is.
Yeah, because she can basically come back from the dead, she's that good. I mean, she's not invincible like Homelander.
Is she like the Deadpool of some kind, or is she?
Yeah, something like that.
I every time I see a superhero in The Boys, to me they all like parodies basically, or caricatures of existing superheroes. So I always try to relate them to ones that already exist or that we're familiar with. But this one I don't. She's just, but she's not a soup in the sense that she's not working for any sort of corporation or anything. She's just she wants to be left alone, I guess.
Yeah, she wants to get back to her brother, who's still in the internment camp or something.
Okay,
Because
that'll be explored maybe further in season 2.
she was in some kind of army, and then she was experimented on, and then she escaped. I don't know exactly why the guys had her there in that room in the cage. Well, yeah, I know why they had her in the cage, but like how exactly she got there. There might be more backstory in her in the second season. But what I did like is her relationship with Frenchie.
Yeah,
And how like he's so like, you know, gentle and like very careful with her, like extremely careful, because you when he has these interactions with her, you're like, yeah, I would be that careful too. I would probably be shitting my pants because this girl can just like tear your head off like that.
He is afraid, but there's more to it. You can feel that he's like he's genuinely concerned, right? He's like, something's happened to this person, and I want to see if I can help. Maybe
he displays an emotional sensitivity toward her that hopefully that's the only way he can kind of communicate with her, I guess.
Yeah, and well, he's the way in.
Yeah.
To like to the boys' relationship with her.
I like the fact that she's one of the boys now. Like she's you haven't seen.
She'll be part of the team.
She's part of the action now in season 2.
Yeah, I assume so. Yeah,
she's full on team member.
They might even do like a little time lapse between season 1 and 2. I don't know. Just I'm assuming maybe the team's going to be more ready or whatever.
Let's talk about A-Train for a second. Yeah, his storyline is fascinating because it's much like that of a drug addict, and they use him to illustrate the power of Compound V and the fact that he needs to be the fastest man in the world, and he's not only competing with normies, which of course can't compete with him, but he's competing with other soups that can run extremely fast. So if he doesn't maintain that level of power, then he's no longer number one. He basically loses everything. It's all about ego and addiction.
He will probably lose his place as part of the 7 if someone can run faster than him. Like if someone's got that same power but is better.
Yeah. And his girlfriend, who rats him out, and he eventually kills her. But before that happens, she injects the Compound V and has that scene with the landlord where, his brains go squishing out the top of his head as very graphic, very visceral. And it's a very convincing practical effect. And there are levels of violence in that. Like there are so many scenes of people getting split apart with eye beams,
obliterated, and that kind of stuff. Yeah. It's not just the graphic violence. It's not just raw violence, though. It's kind of the context of it. Because I can say, I cut someone in 2 with a laser. All right, but we're talking about what's his name, Billy. He picks up a baby and he uses the laser eyes from the baby to cut people in half.
Yeah,
and it's like that kind of, you can't invent that. Well, you can, but I mean, it's just insane. This kind of, I don't know. I don't even know how to put it. It's just the concept of it.
But the amount of blood and guts you see throughout the show, they don't hold back at all. They don't. No.
Like it's R-rated or TV mature, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, every episode begins with a million warnings on screen. It's like this contains everything.
Yeah. Queen Maeve, she's like the Wonder Woman character in it, and she's also caught between two worlds. Like she used to be what she thought. She thought the cause was for the good of humanity. And of course, she realizes that. Well, she realized throughout her career that they're all a bunch of evil fuckers, and she has to kind of acquiesce to Homelander's brutal violence. Like he unnecessarily goes into that what the guys. They go into some situation where I don't know if it's a hostage situation, but where he walks in and he puts his hand in the guy's chest and kills him that way.
Yeah, he does he rip his heart out, or he just
squeezes
squeezes his internal organs. Yeah,
and you can see her reaction to that. It's
well, he's the leader of the Seven, which like even if he's not I suppose the manager of the team or the corporate front of it, but he's the leader when they're out as a team. So she has to kind of follow what he does. And I guess she's in this position where she wants to keep her position. She wants to keep her status, the riches, the fame, being part of the Seven. So she kind of just goes along with it.
And she finally says to Starlight in the last episode, like, be yourself, basically. Don't do what I did and just acquiesce, I suppose.
Queen Maeve seems like she's given up on herself. She's like, it's too late for me, but she sees this new hope, I suppose, in Starlight. She's like, don't be like me.
One of the most controversial, I don't know if it's controversial, but one of the most out there kind of balls to the wall, I couldn't believe they did this scenes. And by the way, there's stuff in the first season that they couldn't do that was like going too far. We can get into that. But it involves Homelander pleasuring himself on top of a building and his essence falling into the people below. But anyway, they did it. That was too much they was like, this is a step too far. And they didn't. I don't know if they filmed the scene and couldn't put it in there. Season. Yeah. But the plane scene where Queen Maeve and Homelander go to save the plane. And it not only highlights the fact that Homelander is a piece of shit, but it also kind of talks about how Superman can't always be perfect. Superman's going to fuck up, like that, how the terrorist kills the pilot and how Homelander zaps the terrorist and then destroys the controls on the plane. Then it's all done. It's all over. I don't think Superman would be that stupid. He'd be a little more careful, but the fact of saving a crashing plane would be a little more complicated than flying underneath and leveling. What a Superman would do. Homelander explains to Maeve, like, I can't. It's done now. Like, if I try to hold up the plane, I'll just go right through the bottom of it. You know what I mean?
Well, he explains the physics of it. He says
the physics.
The real world physics mean I can't. And in comic book fashion, I can't fly into the plane and pick it up. If I execute, like, he has nothing to push off, so that means he has to fly into it, and like uses his brute force. But then he'll just fly through the plane, so he can't do that. He can't pull on it because then he'll just rip off like parts of the plane. Like physically, it's fucked. He can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So he has to let these people die, and then everyone has to freak out. And then he just goes batshit crazy on them.
Yeah, he's like, "Get the fuck back!"
God damn.
That was probably one of the most intense scenes.
If the thing is, what's highlighted, what's interesting is if these people gave more of a shit, like if Homelander and Queen, if all of these people, they cared more about the people that they were trying to save, and they cared more about the world, they could possibly organize themselves better. And not have this kind of situation happen, or at least less often. I'm assuming it might mistakes can happen, but they would probably have contingency plans and that kind of stuff. Like you would go there with parachutes, maybe, or you would go there with something just in case. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Homelander's goal is to for the superheroes to be part of the military. Or at least he basically wants to be a military dictator of the world. That's essentially his goal.
That's pretty much it, yeah.
And he uses the plane crash as an excuse. Like, we should have been notified sooner. We should have the first notification of any kind of danger. Because if I had gone there sooner, I would have saved that plane. And of course, he really didn't give a shit about.
He and Queen Maeve are the only two people there that
Yeah.
can say what happened. So what they do is they pretend like they got there too late because they weren't allowed to go there, and so the plane crashed before they even got there.
Mm.
And then use that to their advantage, for political gain, and like try and swing, I suppose, the vote, the military thing his way.
There's another
Which
plane
is
scene.
despicable.
There's a brief plane scene earlier in the season when you were talking about how they rent out superheroes to different cities and stuff.
Mm.
Remember that mayor, I think it was, a governor or mayor who wouldn't get on board, and then Homelander flies alongside of his plane and kills him and his kid?
Oh, I don't remember that.
It's very early on.
Okay.
Him and his kid are in the plane. The kid looks out the window and is like, "Hey, Daddy, there's Homelander." And the guy's like, "What's he doing up here?" And Homelander just lasers the plane. And then Elizabeth Shue's character says to him after, yeah, they found laser burns as if, the plane was lasered out of the sky. And it's like, okay, they know Homelander did it. And he gets away with it, right? So that's the extent of their power that they can just...
The crazy thing is, like, what are you gonna do? What would you do with a Homeland is he's a known criminal. What are you gonna do? How are you gonna handle this guy?
And it seems not everybody, but there are a portion of people who know what a garbage piece of crap he is. And then there's this other people who just...
There's a whole cleanup crew.
Yeah.
That deal with cleaning up all of the chaos and mayhem that all of these superheroes do.
Ashley Barrett is the PR girl who like freaks out at Starlight for stepping outside, for giving that speech at the Christian thing. She's the PR damage control, and she's going to continue on in season 2. We never talked about Mother's Milk, and I'm not talking about Homelander and Madeline, which is weird in itself.
Yeah, that's a bit strange. The whole
I mean, I thought he was going to kill that baby. He gives that baby so many dirty looks. I'm like, oh my God, he's not going to go there, is he? It's like they play the music.
I know one thing about the comic book that someone told me, which involves Homelander and a baby.
Oh, okay. No, I don't want to know.
And the person told me, and I said, don't tell me anything else because this could potentially be spoiler territory for like future seasons and kind of stuff like that. So I was like, I don't want to know.
I just want to mention one scene that I skipped over because I can't watch it again. It is literally the most uncomfortable scene to watch in the entire season. I don't know if you can guess what it is. It involves something sexual.
Is it the Deep and his gills?
How did you know?
I don't know. The moment you said it, even before you said sexual, this is gonna be the Deep. And I'll tell you what. I have a friend at work that watched this with his wife, and she was on board up until that moment. And at that moment, she said, "I can't watch this anymore. I can't. It's too much."
Yeah.
First of all, it's sexual assault depicted on screen.
It's this weird rapey kind of thing, but the effects on the Deeps,
it's so well done.
It's so realistic when she's putting her fingers in it and stuff. It feels so painful to watch. It really does, and it's so effective. And if you've ever had,
very good actor.
I'm speaking from personal experience, but if you've ever had a girl kind of like that, that's why in Lower Decks when Beckett Mariner is crawling all over Boimler, who is also played by Jack Quaid. I'm like, I really hate the pokey crawl all over you girls because I used to know girls like that who would like. I'm not talking about when I was a little kid, but say like when I was a teenager and stuff. Some girls who would like it, and they would hit you and poke you and fucking like. I noticed one girl years ago when I was a teenager. She knew that I hated having my ribs poked, so she would do it constantly, and I couldn't be around her. I couldn't be around this person anymore. Yeah. So when I see poking or any kind of on top of the fact that it's creepy sexual stuff, which I hate movies and TV shows. Anything rapey and sexual assault related, it's like cringy as fuck.
Well, yeah, it's difficult to watch, isn't it? I
Yeah,
don't know if you've seen it. Did you see it? Like they did the It in two parts. Did you see the first part? Well, did you see It?
I saw both parts.
Okay, well, in everything clown related and It related doesn't really scare me too much. But what I really didn't like was the whole kind of rapey father thing with
Yeah,
the girl, right? And every time we're in that house and there's scenes where I'm like, this is a lot to take in because it's more based in reality than the clown thing, right?
mm.
And so that was the hardest part for me to deal with in that movie. And this is the only thing that kind of, I suppose, in The Boys is like you're thinking, does he deserve this? Because he's a horrible person.
Yeah.
I didn't see it coming though. I didn't see it coming that when he goes to pick up a girl at the bar, I didn't see it coming that it would be that she was doing it on purpose just to get back at him for what was publicly known that he did, right?
I think she was just a creepy.
You think? I think she was trying to. That was vengeance, right? That was revenge.
No, she was getting off on that. It seemed. Like I said, I didn't watch it the second time, so I can't really remember that clearly. But I remember she was like really getting off on it, and he was really not liking it, and she got really aggressive toward it. She's like, "You better let me do this," or something like that. And he's like, "Okay." And I like how the Deep, his misery is progressively more hilarious.
Yeah.
Like he's stuck in like this quarantine almost where he's like separated from the rest because of the sexual assault things, and then he thinks he's going back and the guy's like, no, you're not. And then he shaves his head, and REM's Everybody's Hurts becomes his theme because they play that a couple of times. Everybody else. And when he rescues the dolphin, oh come on, and he's talking to the dolphin.
Hey, look, I know people that laughed out loud at the dolphin scene.
It's so cruel, but funny at the same time.
He's pathetic. The Deep is just pathetic. He's a waste.
Yeah.
Of human and of superpower and everything. Like the others have their flaws, but I feel like Homeland is pretty much irredeemable. But Homelander revels in his. He enjoys his horribleness, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas the Deep is just kind of like he's like a super loser.
Yeah, he's a big loser, and they really make fun of that a lot. With the dolphin going out the window and getting crushed by the truck, but then there's the other scene in the supermarket where he's talking to the lobster.
Oh
he's
my
like,
God.
I'll get you out of here, buddy. And the guy just instantly kills the lobster in front of him. He's like, shit.
I don't understand why the Deep has such like deep connections with like the folk of the sea. Why is he connected to like the ocean beings? Right? He can swim and he has gills, all right, but that doesn't make him a fish.
He's a parody of Iron Man. Not Iron Man,
Aquaman. Yeah. He's Namor.
Homelander is Superman. Maeve is Wonder Woman. The Deep is Aquaman. The Flash is A-Train.
Flash, yeah. Well, there's Dark Noir.
Oh yeah, who by the way,
Black Noir,
who they barely even touched in this season, but he's got a big role in season 2.
Okay, well in season 1, he's very intriguing. They show him just enough that you're like, oh, this guy looks so cool. And I think he was everyone's favorite coming out of it. Like everyone's like, oh, I want to know more about Black Noir. He seems like this ninja kind of guy. Don't know.
Yeah, don't watch it, but there is a clip of him in the second season. It's like fucked. I don't know where I saw it. There are 2 clips. One's on a boat and one's with Black Noir. Actually, there's 3 or 4 clips they put out for season 2. Another one with Stormfront. But anyway, the one with Black Noir, it's just a brief fight scene with him. I think he's in Afghanistan or something. But anyway, yeah, they kind of they show that he's there, but they don't do anything with him. I think that's on purpose because they have so much other things to focus on. But what did you think was the standout funny scene with him? There's a particular scene where it's like I laughed out loud, and there's no dialogue. It involves a piano.
I don't remember that.
I think it's in the last episode. The last episode where dude's in the restaurant playing the piano, and Black Noir just sits right next to him and just looks at him. And the guy eventually gets so uncomfortable that he stops playing and gives the piano to him. And then Black Noir starts playing this really complicated Chopin kind of fucking piano tune or some shit. So it shows that he's highly intelligent and he's very good on the piano. Perhaps. Perhaps he's intelligent. I don't know. I'm assuming he is. Wouldn't it be cool if there was a huge focus on him to the point where like he's just as relevant? Because he's really just in the background in that first season.
I'm wondering if they're going to try and do this show. I wonder if the show is going to kill off one super season, right? If the boys are going to manage to slowly accomplish to kill one superhero per season, or if it's going to culminate in some sort of big fight at the end of however many years this runs for. I kind of don't know where they're going with this.
No, I like that too. I didn't expect the ending either.
Surprising.
Actually, I kind of expected the ending, but it was a satisfying ending. Basically, Billy Butcher, his wife was raped by Homelander and impregnated. He doesn't know that she was impregnated, and then she went missing right after. But what actually happened is she got pregnant with Homelander's kid. Homelander is eventually told about this, but he's told a lie that she died in childbirth and the kid only lived a couple of seconds, when in fact they both survived.
And they were like protection or something.
Yeah.
Well, no, they were protected by the company itself.
Yeah, they live in a weird suburb, and they're what's the company's name again? Keep forgetting.
Vought
company. What company are we talking about?
Is
it called Vought?
I don't know.
Hold on, let me see.
Yes, VOUGHT. Vought International.
Okay, yeah. Oh, and okay, we'll talk about that ending for a second. Basically, Homelander takes Billy Butcher to see his wife and to show him, hey, this is my kid that I had with your wife. I'm gonna shove it, and then it ends, and you don't know where the fuck that's gonna go. That's a really great cliffhanger ending, because obviously he's not gonna get his wife back. She's stuck there. Homelander's not gonna let her leave, and now he has a kid to raise. What is his relationship going to be like with his son?
I didn't like the fact that it was a very old school cliffhanger ending, right? It almost reminds you of the way Star Trek used to do like part ones. I wasn't a fan of that.
Oh, really?
I like my seasons to have I like overarching stories, but I like my seasons to kind of have wrap ups. And then, but this is clear. They immediately knew they were going to go into production for season 2.
Yeah.
I don't know when they greenlit the second season, but they knew straight away that they were going to do that.
Yeah, I'd say about halfway into making the show, they were probably like, "Yeah, this is good. People are going to like this. Let's make more." Amazon Prime certainly loves it. I mean, it's
their big show, isn't it, for the moment?
I think it's like their number one, besides like Marvelous Mrs. Maisel and Fleabag, which I believe is over with.
Had the Grand Tour for a while, but that doesn't necessarily appeal to everyone because it's cars, and the Grand Tour is now no longer the same format, so that's kind of fell off, I suppose. Scripted shows, they got Middle Earth, but that's not out yet. I watch a few Amazon shows, to be honest, because I watched Carnival Row,
Okay, yeah.
which was all right for what it was. It's. I wouldn't mind having more of it. If it were cancelled, I wouldn't be devastated.
The only other one I watched was Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which is good. Not as like amazing as some people make out to be, but it actually is a very well made show.
Okay.
Madeline
Figure out
dies
what
at
else
the
they
end.
have.
What'd you think of that? What'd you think of that scene where Billy Butcher has the bomb in Madeline's apartment, and Homelander's like, "Yeah, I don't give a fuck about her." Like Billy Butcher totally misread that. The fact that Homelander had some kind of a emotional attachment to Madeline, when in fact he gets into this whole speech about how he fucked his wife and all this and didn't pleasure her. Like it really fucked up, kind of like almost like egging him on to let the bomb go off, right? And
A bomb would do nothing to Homelander, though.
exactly. Right? Well, it didn't. The bomb does go off and he saves Butcher's life, but he kills Madeline because she lied about his or she lied about where his son, the fact that his son was alive, right? That's why he killed
The
her.
whole laser through the body thing,
Through the eyeballs.
Yeah, through the I didn't see that coming at all. I really wasn't expecting him to kill her, and especially not like that. I was like, oh my god, what the hell?
It's a very gruesome death too, and it's so well done, and it's dark. I half expected it when I first saw it because
I didn't think so. I thought that like
she did betray. She
actor.
She lied to him about his son. I mean, that would fucking enrage him, right?
Yeah, but I thought they have this actor. She's pretty good. She's like a main character in a sense because she's like the leader of the company or the face of the company, or whatever. And he's the face of the company, I guess. But I thought like they're gonna keep her around for a couple of seasons. She's gonna be like not the main villain because Homelander is supposed to be the main villain. I'm assuming. If there is a clear villain, like everyone's terrible.
Well, they're implying that there's somebody worse than Homelander in season 2, Stormfront.
Okay.
She uses the power of social media, but anyway, that's all I'll say.
I hate her already.
There's another clue that she was probably going to die. And if you watch, I watched the season like last week, but in the last episode, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, Giancarlo Esposito from Breaking Bad and Mandalorian.
Okay.
He's the head of Vought, and he talks about he's got to go back to some country and she's got to continue running things. And anyway, he takes her place in season 2 because of course she's dead now. He can't leave. But so somebody's got to run this thing.
So he's the biggest villain in every single show that I love at this point, right?
He's so typecast. It's like, Mr. Esposito, we have a role for you. Okay, what is it?
Menacing calm villain.
I'll take it.
I'll take it. It's in The Mandalorian. Good. It's in The Boys. Good. It's in Breaking Bad. Good.
You know what would be I don't know if it would be cool or not, but if his character dies in the second season, that he would die by getting half his face burned off. That'd be something. Yeah. We talked about every single character, I think. Oh yeah, Simon Pegg is in it as Hugh's dad. I liked him.
That's fun. Yeah, it was. I read something and I'm very vague about this. I think Huey was written to be Simon Pegg, or like based on Simon Pegg when they did the comic book or something like that, when they did the novel. But Simon Pegg is now too old to be young little Huey, so they got him in as a cameo to be the father. I think that's how it went, but that may be incorrect. But that anyway, he cameos as the father, and he's great.
Yeah. There's also another soup in it, played by Haley Joel Osment. God, I forget his name. His name escapes me. But he's the guy who he can touch you and figure out everything about you. And he had that. He was a child actor. It's kind of they're kind of making.
Oh yes, that's right. Okay,
they're kind of making fun of him as an actor himself. Yeah,
and he's signing shit or whatever it is. And then there's the Jesus man, the very Christian guy.
Yes.
He's preaching heterosexuality, but then he's in a gay club, and
yeah, he's a stretchy guy too.
Yeah. That is, I wouldn't say it's the best episode. I think the best episode was probably the last, but the most standout episode, or the one that I have the most clear memories of, is that kind of what is it? It's the Bible convention or whatever it is.
Yeah. And Jack Quaid goes to blackmail him.
Yeah,
says he has videos of him. I'm wondering, is that the same episode with Haley Joel Osment's character and Bill Butcher finds out that he betrayed them and he smashes his face against the sink?
I couldn't tell if it's in that episode.
Okay.
These heavily serialized shows all clump into one big thing for me.
But that was an intense scene.
Oh yeah.
Where he touches Billy and he finds out everything about him. And then he realizes, oh yeah, you're going to kill me. He's like, don't, I have a daughter. This is after he completely cuts ties with his kid, right?
Yeah, I like the idea of these ex superheroes or people that were maybe the soups that were famous before, and now they're just signing things at conventions or doing appearances. The superhero or the augmented person is very much part of everyday life at this point for them.
They do a flashback to Billy Butcher meeting this FBI agent who I'm trying to look up her name now and I can't find. They mention Mallory, Grace Mallory.
Oh, is this the flashback at the dinner, at the social gathering or whatever it was?
No, it's after Billy's wife goes missing. She comes and she thinks Homelander. She shows him the video of them going in a room, and she thinks that Homelander is responsible for his wife's disappearance. And the boys were a thing before the show started. That's the thing. There's this whole backstory with her, and Mother's Milk and Frenchie were all together in some mission where people got killed, and of course Frenchie and Mother's Milk have a contentious relationship because of that. So there's this whole backstory that I hope at some point they're gonna give us a little hints of.
Well, this is technically the second incarnation of the boys team, right?
Yeah.
So we're coming in late. We're coming in with Jack Quaid's character.
And the way they write the characters and the way it's just set up, it makes you believe that there's this rich history between all of these characters that you're just meeting in this first season, right? There's been years of this stuff going on that you could almost after The Boys is done, you could have a prequel series that examines the previous 10 years if you wanted to do a Better Call Saul type deal.
That is something that I came out oftentimes first seasons feel like first seasons. They really do feel like they're trying to build something and they're starting from nothing. It feels like they're starting from scratch, and you really have to build up the characters. You have to build towards the plot points, and then you start moving into your bigger arcs and your stories for the seasons. The Boys didn't feel like that. No. It really does feel like you're kind of jumping on a show that's already been on the air for 5 years. You know what I mean? It's just you're jumping on. They just some of the cast has died, or some of the cast has changed, and you're just jumping in. It really feels like that because it's so well written and so much depth to all the characters, and it's very well performed too. Everyone's very convincing.
Yeah. Most great shows throughout history often start off very strong. And I know some don't. But look at Sopranos, look at Breaking Bad, Even Better Call Saul, which the first season isn't like all that spectacular or anything, but it's just so once they start a show knowing exactly what it is,
Yeah.
there's no. I find like some shows now, it's like, yeah, you got to give it a season or two. I'm like, no, I don't. I give it an episode or two. But like that's why I couldn't get into other shows, because it requires too much of my patience to get to know people who I'm supposed to like eventually. But when you watch The Boys, I think a lot of people who go into that first episode of The Boys
You're
get a
convinced
very
by Huey. You're convinced by Jack Quaid's Huey immediately. You're
yeah
like, you're on his side. You're like, okay, we need to figure out how we can punish the person who killed his girlfriend. It's like
yeah
yes, you're on board with that immediately.
it's very
Once you're
relatable.
introduced to Billy, Carl Urban's character, you immediately love the guy. You're like, this guy's nuts. I love him. Starlight, the same thing. We introduce Starlight and kind of the world that she's introduced in, and you're like, oh, I'm on board with her. And then they start slowly introducing and developing all of these villainous characters, and it's also there are shows where I can watch the show, but then I might click away. I might do some who's this actor that not The Boys. The Boys I was not transfixed per se, but I would watch the show and I wouldn't feel like doing anything else. So I wouldn't, maybe if I had research to do about an actor or something, I would look it up after.
Yeah. Yeah, I was impressed by the writing, the cast, the special effects, the cinematography. Like, it's just all around just a well-made show in almost every way. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's
I
as
think
close.
that-
It's as close to a great superhero show than I think we've ever gotten. To be honest.
Well, it's a very, very solid first season.
Yeah, that's what my big fear is, that the second season is gonna not be as good. But even
I
if it's
hope
not
they
as
don't
good, it might still be good.
overboard. But I haven't read the comic book or the graphic novel, so I don't know how much they kind of stray from the original story or whatever. And I don't know how much kind of creative, I suppose, liberties you can take when you're doing these kind of things. But the first season, as it was, I think is very effective for someone that doesn't know anything about The Boys, just coming in. It was perfect for me because the way it was written, as you say, we have an understanding that there's a rich backstory, but we don't get too much, so it doesn't undercut the current story that they're telling. But you do fully understand how each character is, what they do, kind of their dynamics. And it manages to explore so many different stories at once.
Yeah,
There's
a huge cast.
There's the Deep's struggles. We're exploring so many things all at once.
By the way, Black Noir is played by a guy named Nathan Mitchell. I don't know if we'll ever see his face, but it is like one actor underneath that suit.
Nathan Mitchell.
Yeah.
Am I supposed to know who this guy is?
No, I don't recognize him.
The Canadian actor Nathan Mitchell?
Canadian.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's born in Mississauga. I lived there for 3 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know. Guys, I'm sorry, Nathan.
Yeah, we covered, I think.
We want to see more of your character, Nathan.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be in season 2 more.
What's he been in? Supernatural. I haven't watched that.
And Cusack. One actor we didn't mention is Anne Cusack. She plays Starlight's mother. Of course, she's the sister of John Cusack, Joan Cusack. She's good.
A character as well.
Yeah, it's like when they have that confrontation where Starlight confronts her mother about being lied to about how she was created. It's very well played by her mother. Her character's name is Donna. But it's very well played because the mother doesn't see it as something wrong. Like, she's like, what are you talking about? This is the light. I gave you a superpowers and a great life, and you have riches and fame, and I worked hard to get you here, and you understand why she thinks that way, even though it's like you don't agree with it, obviously.
Yeah, I don't agree with that philosophy and that kind of parenting, I guess. That's
It's
a comment, right?
it reminds me of the parents of child actors who like really push their kids in the modeling or.
I mean, I think there's a limit to how much you can kind of push your kid and how much you can live through your kid. I think sports is the same thing. A lot of athletes or a lot of people in sports, their parents live through them, or you know what I mean. The father wanted to be a hockey player, or the father wanted to be a football player, and the kid is successful, so they push the kid and they kind of live through them.
Yeah. I think the mother may have wanted like fame at some point when she was younger. Probably not necessarily superpowers, but like fame and fortune. It's like, well, if I can give it to my daughter, she's not going to turn that offer, even though it's like to hand your kid over to be experimented on. It's kind of fucked up, even though you're getting the money though.
Yeah.
One last character I want to talk about is Susan Ray. She's the FBI agent that I guess Butcher used to work with. And she finds herself stuck between a rock and a hard place because when they find out about synth terrorists, they got to put the lid on the whole exposing Vought thing because now it's out there. Like Compound V is out there. And it's going to be a huge problem for the world. It's going to be a world full of superheroes and supervillains now. So, like, that
would be terrifying. It would be terrifying enough having the Seven flying around because they don't even. I mean, you can't control them.
And it's Homelander who purposely made those soups. Ship the stuff around the world so he could have something to fight, to give the military an excuse to have him face off against.
He's so insane.
Yeah. He's so crazy. Insane. He might meet his match in the second season. I'm curious about that.
Ooh.
I'd like to see somebody like just fuck with him, like who has the power to do that.
Yeah, who has the power to do that? Because it ain't Huey that's gonna go and face him.
Wouldn't it be interesting?
The show is no bullshit too, in the sense that we don't have these long lasting monologues and what have you. Like, characters say what they have to say, but it doesn't feel cinematic in that way. It doesn't feel like, oh, it's a movie, right? It's like she's gonna try and explain herself. You get lazy. Like, I don't have time for this. I'm angry. You know what I mean?
They try to avoid cliches.
Yeah, or they do try to make fun of them.
Yeah, or turn them on their head or something like that, or just yeah. And like you said, it's not one of these shows that in any way feels preachy, even though there's clearly some messages that they're trying to put out about like corruption and everything.
Everything.
Anything you can think of. And I know people complain, don't put your political messages in shows. It all depends on how it's done. You talk about like some people want to talk about they want to put Brexit in their science fiction shows and whatnot. You can, but if it sucks, then people are gonna not get the message that you're trying to send out there.
You have to do it delicately and do it well. You have to write it. Everything can be. You can do anything. Any kind of political view, if it is your political view, and if you want to put that in your show, then you're allowed. I guess it's just like you have to. Well, people can agree or disagree, of course.
The danger in that stuff is being too one-sided or too preachy. But if you kind of try to find a happy medium where you're necessarily trying to please everybody, but you're trying to get your point across while examining the other side as well, as to not shun or ignore the opposite point of view.
Well, that was my big thing. That's my big thing when I reviewed The Orville season 2. I said, like, Star Trek of old, dare I say, like, oftentimes Star Trek would kind of analyze both sides and kind of ask the question or ponder upon an issue. Whereas I feel the Orville very much has, I wouldn't say an agenda, but the Orville very much has a political stance and often applies that political stance as like a filter to the episode of the story that they're telling. And that's a shame. It's like if you're going to do this science fiction thing where you're dealing with aliens and other worlds and stuff, don't necessarily apply our human filter or your political stance to that. Just kind of deal with that from an exterior standpoint. But anyway, the boys I think does it well, even if it doesn't do it delicately. It throws the commentary in your face. It's like, hey, look, rape isn't good. Boom, a scene with rape.
Yeah.
And it's a way of doing it, because when, as you say, you watch the scenes and it's cringe to watch, right? You're like, ugh.
Yeah.
Which means it's effective. Like, you're not supposed to be happy by what's going on.
And one of the great things about The Boys is that it has all this dark, in some cases, cringy and uncomfortable stuff to watch. And then other times, it has some of the goriest things that's completely almost played for laughs. And then you have just genuine, heartfelt, natural humor that never actually feels forced. None of the humor feels forced. It's like, I think, like the baby with the lasers coming out of its eyes is probably the most kind of in-your-face jokey thing in the entire show. But even that works.
Well, Carl Urban was having so much fun doing it. He said that was his favorite scene to shoot. You can just imagine picking up this fake baby. Just imagining that lasers are going to be coming out of it. And I do want to go on record on saying that I am not one of the people that is over superhero shows. I don't want to see anymore. La-di-da. I know there's a lot, and I'm getting, I suppose, maybe a little fatigued like everyone. But I enjoy the MCU, and I enjoy watching my superhero shows. As corny, as cringy as the Arrowverse may seem, I enjoy watching this kind of the dumb fun that it is. I'm not over it. I'm not one of the people that is actively searching for like something that is not superheroes. Like, if it's a good show and it's superheroes, then I'll watch it if it's good. It's just that this, I think, is a very fun and new take on it.
Yeah. Well, I do try to watch every one that comes out, and I have very little patience for many of them. My personal
try them all.
Yeah, but my personal preference is that I think, this is just a wild prediction, in the 20s, in this decade, we will start to see superhero TV shows go the way of more prominent properties. I think that at some point this decade, we will get a live-action Spider-Man series. We will get a live-action Batman series. We will get a live-action Superman series, which was already in the works with CW anyway, but I'm not talking about that.
Oh, that's Superman and Lois Lane, right?
Yeah. Wouldn't now be the perfect time to make a live-action Iron Man series where Iron Man doesn't exist in the movies anymore? I mean, moving toward the bit, not necessarily taking what The Boys did and make everything hardcore rated R, but take the template of, what if Spider-Man was in the real world and not the Marvel world, which people say is realistic, but it really isn't. It's like a futuristic kind of like modern take on our world. But have more grounded TV series explore more notable comic book characters.
Why not? Why not? It is still a genre that can be explored.
Yeah.
Differently.
And you look at Batman and Spider-Man, their mythology is so rich, it lends itself to serialized television. And now we actually have the budget. We have the special effects to do it. I mean, look at modern Trek now. Love it or hate it, it looks like a fucking movie. You could do that with the superhero properties. And The Boys itself it's super wide screen. It's a very cinematic show. When you watch it on a big screen, it looks amazing. Yeah.
Well, there's basically no difference now between these high budget shows and movies, right? Like, have you seen? I think it's called Replicants. No, Replicas. Replicas, the movie with Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, I did watch that.
Okay, it's not good.
No,
Um,
it has a very bad CGI.
it
Even
has terrible visual effects.
oh yeah,
Just terrible, and that's a movie.
I thought I was watching stop
Yes.
motion for a second. I'm like, what? Oh wait, that's computer generated.
That came out in theaters. All right.
Yeah.
No shade to Keanu Reeves, but the movie was not good. Um, and TV shows, other TV shows are just fantastic to watch. This is beautiful visual effects.
Yeah, it's weird.
And it's not just visual effects. Like this movie, the lighting was shit in it as well. Anyway,
I've seen better CG in the old Hercules and Xena TV show than in that fucking movie. Oh man.
Anyway,
I was flabbergasted. I watched the whole thing. I was just fascinated by.
I too. You know what? We put it on with Wife on the Tube, and we were watching it. And halfway through, I was like, I can't believe this exists. I'm baffled by the existence of this thing. And
Yeah,
she's just sitting there. You know, she's now and then drops a. This isn't very good.
Keanu needed to make a mortgage payment. That's all it was. Oh, by the way, are you going to watch Bill and Ted 3 when that comes out?
I haven't seen the first two.
Oh shit!
I'm late on that.
It's basically Cheech and Chong for '90s kids.
Okay.
It's somewhere between Cheech and Chong and Beavis and Butthead.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to watch that. I'll have to catch up on my Keanu Reeves. I've recently done a full rewatch of a few months ago now. I did all of the John Wicks because I had never seen the John Wicks.
Yeah.
So I watched all of them.
So the second season of The Boys will premiere on September 8th. And I believe they're going to put out 3 episodes on that date. And then the rest will follow weekly.
Okay.
Yeah. And very much looking forward to that. Did you want to come back and do the first 3 episodes when they air?
Yeah.
We'll be engulfed in lower decks at that point.
We will, but we can talk about something else.
Yeah. You're on a fucking live stream every goddamn day, man. It's like every time I turn on the YouTube, oh, there's Sean. There's Sean talking to somebody. Or Starfleet Boy. Starfleet Boy's on air like every day. He's really getting his money's worth for that stream here.
I pay for nothing because I just hop on everyone else's live streams. But as it stands, I have the afternoons free, which means I take care of the house a bit. I do some washing and whatever, and then if I can jump on and have a discussion. Hey, look, I don't have many friends in Canada. I'm new here. Not only that, but I can't really go and see them. So it's cool to be able to talk to people.
Yeah, I got no friends either in Canada.
Well, you've been here for a while.
No. I have many acquaintances. No, nobody likes what I like in regards to movies or television. So,
well, there you go. So we got to talk about The Boys Online.
It's like, hey, do you watch this cool show that everybody loves? No, I watch Big Brother. It's like, oh, I can't blame.
I have to vent about this.
What?
I am ashamed that CBS All Access is proud to be the owner and distributor of Big Brother.
It's a popular show.
And they also have this special package deal where you can pay to have like 24 live access viewing of the Big Brother house and shit. I'm like, you guys, this is...
Shut the front door.
That is
what did you just say?
Yeah,
I've got to get access. Oh wow! I can watch losers in a house do nothing.
The people that distribute Star Trek, the show that depicts the perfect future, like a utopian kind of, hopefully a better future, and they distribute and they give you access to 24-hour. Anyway, maybe I'm the one that just doesn't understand what the appeal of Big Brother is.
I find TV, like actual TV with all the reality shows and the game shows and stuff, Well, I remember when I had cable, I'm like, none of this is worth it. Everything I watch is on Netflix, Prime, or Disney Plus, and I'm
Yeah,
pretty much tapped out Disney Plus. I mean, they got to put some new stuff on there, man. I mean, it's great
yeah,
to see the quality. The quality of the streaming is fucking excellent, but yeah,
yeah. I agree. Disney Plus needs to start filling it up with things that aren't Artemis Fowl. Um, because
but
I've rewatched my old things.
I love the fact that now we're getting two Trek shows and we're getting the boys in between all that. So like that's a lot of good
It's
new.
an
Well,
exciting end of year.
yeah,
Well, end
yeah,
of year, but yeah, end of year, second
and
half.
and then when all this is over, there's going to be about 600 movies to see in theaters, if that ever comes back. By the way, did you hear about?
Same day?
Did you hear what Disney Plus is doing?
I don't know what
They're
Disney
they're
Plus.
releasing Black Widow and
Did it?
Mulan. On no. Wait, there's a caveat. You have to pay like $30 to see the stream Black Widow in 4K on your big. I mean, that's a good deal. You're watching with your family and stuff. I think it's $30. American. I don't know what it is Canadian, but and Mulan is I think next month or something. Same thing with Bill and Ted 3. That's going straight to VOD. I don't mind.
You know what? It's funny because I would love to see the behind the scenes of all that because I know that Disney Plus, like, I know that Disney was just like, it's fine, we'll just delay all these things, and we'll. Originally, Disney wanted to just push Black Widow, but then you can see Feige is like Kevin Feige. He's like, I have a plan and a schedule and a timeline. I can't just release things in out of order, and it's like and every Disney Plus MCU show has been delayed because just this Black Widow project can't come out. And I was wondering if eventually they were going to do that. And I was thinking they'll never release it on Disney Plus because they're just going to lose billions.
But you can get it for a premium price. I don't know how long.
$30? Is that what you're saying?
I believe so.
That's way more than what I pay in theaters. I pay $8
Yeah, but you think?
because I go on Tuesdays where it's cheaper.
Yeah, well, say a family of three or something, 3 tickets plus the food that they got to buy. I mean, it's going to cost you more anyway. If you think about like if you're only watching it by yourself, I guess it's not. But if you have like 2, 3 people chip in, I mean, that's a cheap movie for a brand new release.
I guess you make a night out of it, right?
Yeah.
You break the COVID rules. You invite your friends over. You can all wear masks with holes for the popcorn. Yeah, I guess so.
But yeah, this is a great year for streaming. As bad as the year is, streaming has never been so popular than in 2020.
Yeah, and video games, right? I guess. I bet.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm currently without a TV.
Yeah.
Lower Decks is coming out. I might have to watch it on my laptop. I had a 4K TV, RCA. I'm so stupid. I've realized that RCA is a shitty brand, but it used to be a good brand when I was a kid, and it was a very cheap 4K TV, and the picture on it was phenomenal. I was watching like things in 4K on Netflix and Disney Plus, and it just looked goddamn amazing. And then these pixelated lines started appearing and wouldn't go away in the screen. And
is this like the same day or within a week or
2 days? And brought it back. And I spent 3 hours yesterday looking for a 55-inch 4K TV. Could not find one. Went to 3 Walmarts and Costco. None there. The only ones you could get were fucking ridiculously expensive ones. And I can't spend too much on a TV. Like it's just not worth it.
Could you downsize just a bit or upgrade, like get a bigger one? No.
55 is exactly what I want.
Okay.
But see, there was these TVs that were on special, and they like go like hotcakes. It's a TLC, which is a lower name brand but a reliable one, and Hisense. They're the two best cheaper ones. I want a Samsung, but that's fucking Samsung. 4K TVs are damn expensive.
Well, in France, when we were in France, we had a Samsung. It wasn't 4K, but we had a Samsung TV that we bought. It was very expensive, but it was like really, really good, and we were very satisfied. And when we got here, we were like, we don't just buy the cheapest thing there. And we got a Vizio. God damn, that's garbage.
You know what sucks about Crave? When I had the TV, I watched one episode of Star Trek Discovery on the on the Crave app on the TV.
All right.
Crave doesn't offer full HD, which is fucking crazy in these times. That a streaming service, it only offers full HD on your phone or on Apple TV or on your Xbox. I don't have any of those. So if you have the Crave app on your smart TV and you're watching it like on a 55-inch or a 60 or whatever, it's so pixelated, it's fucking embarrassing. So that's when I was watching Discovery, I'm like, wow, this is only worth watching on like a laptop TV screen, because when it's blown up in 720p, it looks fucking terrible.
So you're not talking 4K here. You're talking it doesn't offer it in 1080.
No, only on Apple TV, Xbox, and people have been complaining about that for a couple of years. Like Crave,
what the hell?
What do you want me to go elsewhere to watch it in HD? Like, you have all these movies and all of this content. They have so much content on Crave, so much fucking content, and none of it's in full HD.
It's all like a buffering YouTube video.
Oh man! But they've been working on fixing that for. I don't know why you would have to work on it, because if it's available on other devices in 1080p, why couldn't it on your even on a Samsung Smart TV, which is a high-end smart TV, Crave will still pop up as 720p, even though in your account you have the option to stream at 1080, which I have that checked. But you got Disney Plus and fucking Netflix, which has no problem showing you 4K quality images. I mean, I was watching The Lion King, and I could see like every little hair on the lions and shit.
It doesn't make the movie good.
No, it makes it more enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I would love to see Modern Trek in full HD. I actually
I know that Starfleet Boy watches it in 4K. He watched Picard in 4K.
Oh, really?
He said it was brilliant.
Well, good for him.
And he watched The Expanse in 4K. And I was complaining about how the visual effects were weaker in season 4 of The Expanse, and he said, from where I'm standing with my 4K screening, he says I can't see that. I'm like, oh, okay.
I looked at a couple of things on Prime. I didn't check if anything was 4K, but looked damn good. Some TVs they actually take the 1080p and like make it a bit crisper. But like I said, when you get that Star Trek Picard or Discovery 720 fucking image, it looks so bad on a big screen. Oh well. We've gone off on a tangent.
Gone off topic. All right.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, we're just gonna. The Boy, yes out of 10. Yeah.
Yes, I give it a yes out of 10. I recommend it.
I don't know what's going on with my camera. It's been like focusing. I think it's because I have a hat on, like the beak.
Oh, it doesn't know where to focus on.
Yeah, it messes with it. So anyway, I want to thank you, Sean, for joining me for this lively discussion about The Boys and various other topics, as usual.
That's right.
As usual. But very much looking forward to season 2.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Definitely going to be talking about that, but more pressing matters. The premiere of Star Trek Lower Decks is in less than 24 hours, and you can come join me on my channel, Boat Wreck, to hear me talk about it, or Starfleet Boy, or Trek on the Tube, which is Sean's channel here, and he has some great content. And there's going to be a lot of people bitching and moaning and praising, and it's going to be a fun 23 weeks of opinions.
Of bitching and moaning.
Yeah, well, who knows? It might be great. We all might be like, yeah, this is the greatest thing ever. And all the haters are going like, I was wrong the whole time. JJ isn't risen.
Do you think the haters are going to say I was wrong the whole time? Are you expecting that?
Snowballs Chanson Hill. You know what? If Lower Decks came out and it was actually like critically acclaimed and well regarded in almost every way, people would still find something to do. Who knows? I could be bitching about it.
Maybe, but I'm waiting on that one Star Trek show that comes out that has people on the hate crowd kind of go, "Oh my god, I like this." I'm waiting on that show, but I don't think just inherently the show being animated and comedy. I think that's already enough for them to complain about it.
Yeah, no,
sadly. Anyway, as you say, I'm live every day, and I'll be live.
It's okay.
Tomorrow.
It's okay to complain.
It is.
As long as it's not like vitriolic, I suppose.
Mm.
I hear some people like, Lower Decks is shit. Nobody wants this. I'm like, who are you speaking for? Like, you're just.
Yeah, I want it.
I don't like when people get into this. Everybody thinks this way and that way. Is like, stop assuming everybody thinks a certain way. Just say what you think.
Yeah, you think that way. That's fine. Yeah.
But it's like, nobody's going to watch this. I'm like, yeah, a lot of people are going to watch it. In fact, so many people want to watch it that they're actually bitching that they can't watch it overseas.
Oh, yeah, there's a big thing.
Yeah, well. Anyway, we're going to leave it on that positive note. Until next time.